Hi everybody. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how Strat ERP structures its contract service providers for both management and support. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the slides we're going to walk through, 8 of them, that are going to help us understand how and why we structure resources or contract service providers for management and support. So we'll talk about, again, role types, which we talked about in the first presentation of comp. We'll talk again about levels, service lines, pillars, skill sets, and then a little bit about managing providers, directing providers, and then kind of what is your structure. All right, so with that, let's go to slide 1. What are the 4 role types and how does Strat ERP use them to group its contract service providers? So again, if you saw the first presentation of structure, this is a little bit of rehash. If you didn't, let me explain it. So there's application-specific roles or role types, and then the business world, they call those functionals, SMEs, leads. And then there's technology-specific role types. And so these are the tech arcs, the tech leads, the solution architects, but they're really specific to a technology as opposed to the other ones are specific to an app or a functional area. Then you have ops roles or operational roles. These are more the roles of the end users in the business. So you have HR specialist, sourcing specialist, category manager, buyer, materials manager, and so on. And then we grouped everything else into what we call project-specific roles. So this is PM, program director, change management, organizational change management, tester, and I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but it's all those other roles that help you get the project delivered, and they're specific to the project. Like a tester can test tech, app, whatever. Trainer can train on many things, but they're specific to a project. All right. So with that, slide 2, why does Strat ERP assign contract service providers to a level within each role type? Well, levels allow us to group providers based on experience within and relevant to each type of role. So even though we have exactly the same number of levels, we probably band them relatively similarly in terms of comp. But again, tech comp is different than a tester comp, and is different than a functional SME comp. So, we use that matrix, if you will, to arrive at the right compensation or identification of where each of the contract service providers are. So we'll still get to why. Now, why does Strat ERP assign a contract service provider to a service line? Well, largely we have sales deployment, redesign, so that's fixing broken, if you will, installs, training, support, and then again, operations. And we do this because this helps us link the providers to the work that they're performing, and it also helps us with reporting. Think about where we're receiving income from, so we know where to focus the business. Slide 4, why does Strat ERP assign contract service providers to Oracle Cloud Pillars? Well, this is largely in the functional space, to be honest, or what we call the application specific or the operations world. But pillars allow us to organize different providers for support and for training. So if you are in the finance projects procurement world, right, a lot of those activities or business processes are linked. And so we would put you in that world or in what they call ERP pillar. If you're in supply chain, you'd be in SCM, which stands for supply chain and manufacturing. And then the pillar really is just a fancy way to say we're using that construct so that we can group like resources, and then it's pretty obvious that it's easier to support, to link these ASPs to this MP or managing provider because they're all doing the same type of thing. And the same thing holds with technologies. So why does Strat ERP assign and track contract service providers by skill set? Well, skill sets allow us to manage growth and support, but also allow us to auto match providers' jobs. So just like I said in the prior slide, you want to group them because they're easier for the MP or the managing provider to support them. But it's also, we tend to tag resources by skill set, and we use this web-based application called Panomere as a way to match. It's the match.com, if you will, for Oracle Cloud resources. So defining your skill set clearly allows us to do that. Next up, why does StrataERP assign junior providers to managing providers? Well, because the managing providers are onboarding the junior providers. They're providing or preparing, the junior providers. They apprentice the junior providers, right? So think about it. When these folks are coming in, there needs to be some level of, we always call it care and feeding, to make sure everybody understands the way we do things. They also can help support the junior providers. They help grow their income. And then obviously at the same time, they want to help grow their brand, right? So the DC's finding the work. He helps build the providers. The providers are building the training. They're putting the ASPs through the training, and sales is finding a new home for them. And that's kind of how the whole engine works, if you will. So then lastly, why does StrataERP assign managing providers to directing providers? So just a little bit more detail. The directing providers will recruit those managing providers, right? That's kind of their team, their people, and they have their own working style. They'll interview them, they'll offer work to them, they'll promote them, and then at some point, people move on, they may terminate them. And so that's the role of the directing provider. Now, lastly, what is your rate structure? So how are you assigned? So just like we had this at the end of the slide deck and video for how the providers are structured for compensation, we have the same concept here. John Doe can look on his or her SOW to find their service line, their pillar, their skill set, their role type, their level, etc. So that's it. That explains how we group different providers together and how the structure tends to work so that we can manage and support everybody. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for watching.